Alrighty, Tackles and Tinnies listeners, welcome back for another round. Here we go, Gazzy. Cheers. Gazzy, how's your week been, mate?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Coming off over the weekend. It was a nice weekend. Beautiful weather on the Gold Coast, the sunny Gold Coast. Had a nice, chill, relaxing weekend. But yeah, it was good.
Good, man. I finally got out to my local pub to watch a game with the boys, which was nice. Sporting Globe offers Titans members 20% off on their on the away game, so that was pretty nice to get around with the boys.
Oh,
I was
good.
screaming at the TV, bad in the first 20 minutes, but we'll get to that later on. And they were coming in home hot, but yeah, bloody hell, Gold
Yeah.
Coast Titans, not very good this week.
Yeah. I'm sure a couple of words were said. Yeah.
Yeah, a few tinnies were had to ease the pain, that's for sure. So Gazzy, you've been busy this week with a bit of research. I think Physio Corner. Mate, I reckon just dive straight in. Physio Corner this week.
Yeah.
Go ahead, mate.
Pretty,
What are we looking at?
yeah, pretty busy. Let's go through a couple of notable ones from round two. A few hamstring injuries this round. We got Braden Burns out with a hammy. Tommy Turbo is still recovering from that hamstring strain.
Got
He had
game today.
scans the
Great
other,
news.
yeah, had scans back the other day, so he's all clear there. Now this one, when I found out, I was devastated. But Lofi, Camperera from the Titans, 4 to 6
Yeah, didn't
weeks.
random. He looked great during the game, and then all of a
Yeah,
sudden, bang! Hear that news?
yeah. Well, I didn't even see him hobble off, so
Mm,
it's a massive loss for the Titans. So hopefully he
huge.
can get back pretty soon. And then DCE, so with the Eagles, the Sea Eagles, he didn't finish the game. I think he came off with back spasms. But he's all clear
Looked like he got
there.
shot by a sniper. Just instantly, just grabbed his lower back. Pretty hectic.
Yeah, yeah, but I think he's all good. So, yeah, he'll be back next round. Jai Arrow had a couple of concussions, or I think might have failed his HIA. So
Yeah, so instant
questionably,
stand down if they have two HIAs in the game. Doesn't matter if they've got return to play. If they got two in the same game, yeah, they're out. Mandatory rest.
yeah, yeah. Who else? We got Moses Sully. He's questionable. Not sure if he's coming out back, but ribs. And we got Josh Schuster. His calf looks like 4 months recovery in total. And then Leo Thomas from an MCL sprain. So for the Knights, he's probably out for another 3 to 4 weeks. But yeah, overall, a couple of MCL sprains. Because from the Bulldogs,
Mm.
we've got Viliami Kikau. He's out for a couple of weeks with a MCL sprain. So likely that 3 to 6 weeks. And Matty Burden. So those two just alone, massive loss for the
Huge,
Bulldogs.
huge losses. Kickout was almost best on park before he went off the field.
Yeah, well, SuperCoach fans, like they'd be they'd be kicking themselves. I
Are you
personally am.
referring to yourself, mate?
So at least with kick out, I think he scored like 90 plus points. Unfortunately, I traded him in last round, so it looks like I might have to trade, probably trade out.
Love burning a trade. Makes me so happy. So these
And then
MCL sprains, obviously watching the game itself, it wasn't from them running, it was more from impact and people falling in them. They can't really do much about mitigating or reducing the risk of that happening again, correct?
no, yeah, exactly. I think it's just part of the game. It's kind of like I guess like a freak accident. You don't usually have the weight of I forget who it was, but like 100 plus
But yeah,
kilos.
big boys.
Yeah, very big boy. So I think it comes with the game, but very hard to mitigate this. It sucks. It sucks a lot, but yeah, hopefully Kickout and Burton, they're quite resilient. They'll get back even stronger.
Yeah. Now with the back spasm for DCE, how does that sort of occur? Because it was pretty random, like watching it on TV live. Literally just looked like he got shot by a sniper or got
Yeah,
electrocuted almost and just
yeah.
wincing in pain, grabbing his back. How does that sort of happen mid game, do you think? Is that from contact or
Well, I hope Cherry Evans isn't listening. But generally, with back spasms, one of the risk factors, I hate to say it, but it is age. How old's Cherry Evans? I think he's
36, I
37,
think? Yeah.
36, 37. It's just one of those niggly things. Usually like facet joints, so like there's joints in your back. and they can be like irritated. Overuse, a lot of twisting, bending, that type of thing can just cause a bit of irritation to the facet joint, and that just causes the muscles around that joint to spasm, kind of lock up. It looked quite painful.
Oh yeah, 100%. Had to come
So
off the field.
yeah,
Yeah, interesting. And again, these hamstrings keep occurring. What can you do, Gary? Like, you're the physio here. Can you give some advice to these guys? Because every single week it seems like another one happening.
oh, they're just gonna have to. I was gonna make a joke. They're just gonna have to come see me at Back in Motion. Nah, in terms of what advice I'd give to like a patient is to try and strengthen it as much as they can. A lot of this the high level athletes, so they're running at like 110%. They're giving the everything at training. They're giving everything in game. So just because they're at such a high level, all the boys are running at each other. They're 110. Some of the boys are 110, 120 kilos. Like it's kind of part of the game, and it's not just specific to the NRL. So if you're looking at the AFL as well, a lot hamstrings are top of the list. Most common injury. If you're looking at the NFL, highest risk of injury is hamstrings. So unfortunately, it's just one of those injuries that is just very common amongst athletes.
So what would probably be like if you had to give one tip to help reduce the chance of a hamstring pull or tear, what would you advise the general public?
Yes. So for the general public, more like, I guess, bulletproofing, for lack of a better word, bulletproofing your hamstrings, but not only your hamstrings, but like getting in the gym and probably doing, hamstring curls, your RDLs, even your deadlifts, that type of thing. I think research has showed that it is a little bit because you can, like, it's protective of injury in the fact that, you can, your muscles and your joints can handle a little bit more load. So when it comes to preparing for those high intensity activities, then you're able to withstand a lot more of that.
Unreal. That's great insight, Gazzy. I think, yeah, it's just obviously it's so hard to mitigate for the professional athletes because, as you said, they're doing so much load and so much running at such
Mm.
high intensity under such strain and duress. Like, yeah, I guess what can you do, eh?
Yeah. Yeah. Lots of nutrition, plenty of fish oil, a little bit of tinnies on the weekend,
I think, yeah,
all in
relaxing,
moderation.
all in moderation. Exactly right. Well, it's great insight, Gazzy, and thanks again. Your expertise is always greatly appreciated. I'm pretty sure the general population's got some free physio advice there, so
Yeah.
you're welcome, world.
No, it's a pleasure. I reckon as many questions as possible, hey, from all the listeners and viewers.
Definitely,
That'd be awesome.
more the better. So, Gazzy, news around the ground this week. So most of the stuff I found on news.com or Fox Sports,
Yeah.
pretty some big stuff I actually didn't hear. I'm pretty well depth with the news around, but some of these things that I found were quite interesting. Brandon Smith, okay, the Roosters hooker. We know he's a bit of a larrikin, bit of laughter that he goes around, but a bit
Yeah.
interesting at the moment. There is a bit of questioning about his loyalty towards the Roosters. So what I found here on news.com, Roosters hooker Brandon Smith, currently rehabilitating his ACL, as we know, expressed admiration for the South Sydney Rabbitohs during a recent podcast. Given the historic rivalry between the Roosters and Rabbitohs, his comments have elicited some strong reactions from fans. What do you take on Brandon Smith's potentially wanting to jump ship? Because there's a bit of contract negotiation and turmoil at the moment.
Yeah. I missed a lot of that because it was lagging. But did you say he was where's he headed off to, Brendan?
Well, he's off contract with the Roosters currently, and the Roosters have pretty much told him he's not re-signing with the Roosters.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
obviously
Wow.
making a comment about the Rabbitohs potentially want to
Yeah.
link up with Bennett. There's obviously they've lost Damien Cook and they've got Mamorales there at the moment, but again unproven. Brandon Smith might
Yeah.
see an opportunity there to jump on in and get a starting position or get more minutes.
Yep.
But yeah, what do you think?
That's an interesting one because I think he's one of those players. He's a great player, but he just hasn't really been well utilized in a lot of the teams. For the Rabbits, at least, I think Rabbitohs fans will welcome him with open arms. He's a
Mm.
great player. Like if he's built, he's big, 5 meters from the line, he'll be very dangerous, and he's kind of that versatile hooker and like kind of front row as well.
Yeah, front row lock, 100%, mate. I think I see him more in the modern game, more of a mobile
Mm.
front rower / lock. I think the game's actually suiting him better now than 5 years ago.
Yep. Yep. So he can fill different positions, which is very versatile. So yeah, it just depending on how he goes with injuries and stuff. I mean, I feel like that would be, if he goes to the Rabbits, I feel like that might be a win for the Rabbits. And yeah,
They are lacking a front rower. Like they've got a couple of boys who have retired or left the club this year. They've got boys coming back from injury. So Totola, for example, has been great over the years, but very injury prone. You got sort of guys who are a bit unproven or more better for like a bit of a reserve role. I think Brandon Smith could jump in straight into that front role position either midway through this year if he gets a release or join the pack next year with a healthy Cam Murray come back from the Achilles. But it'll be interesting to see and get some of your insight here, Gary, because Brandon Smith's coming back from an ACL mid to end of regular season. What do you see? Is that going to impact much on his speed or more on his confidence? What do you think?
yeah, yeah. So when he rehabs and he's back from that ACL injury, likely it's going to be like the confidence, at least in the back of his head. It might be like, oh, is my ACL strong enough? Like, am I going to get through this game? I think to help, like at least his physio and his medical staff will be running a lot of trials and testing and stuff to make sure that he is fit to return. You look at other players that have come back from injury, like Tino, for more, like they've been
A little
playing
bit.
great.
Yep.
Like Tino he had a massive game. He had, you know,
Huge.
so good. Yeah, I was so stoked. Um, I think he had a very good return, Tino. So like, he's proven that you can do it.
Yep. I think the benefit too, you might agree with this too, Gazzy. Brandon Smith is coming back from the ACL, but also Sam Walker. And they pretty much did the exact same time. So maybe rehabbing in a similar pace might be useful as well. What do you reckon?
Yes, yes, and actually, it's interesting because then you start thinking about like the different ways you can rehab an ACL. We're getting very technical, so I won't go too far along that rabbit hole. Different ways to rehab an ACL, but typically it's like that surgery and then that 9 to 12 months recovery. But Tina went over to America and saw that strength and conditioning coach, and seems like they did a great job there. So it's
Yeah,
like
Steve Knowles, shout out to him. All the boys go over there, especially Latrell and I think Tommy both went over there for their hamstrings last
Turbo,
year as well.
yeah, yep,
Yep.
yep.
What's your while we're on the ACL situation, I know I've sort of wrapped up Physio Corner, but I think it's quite useful and insightful. So Tino, front roller lock. Brandon Smith, hybrid front roller lock hooker in the middle anyway. Tommy Gilbert in the middle or on an edge at second row. All forwards. Okay.
Mm.
But Sam Walker's a halfback. He's primarily a kicker, does some ball running, but again, mainly dishing the ball or kicking the ball and converting. Would there be a very different rehab to the front rowers comparatively to a halfback, or much of the same, do you think?
Yeah, great question. Rehab is very similar. It'd be very similar in the fact that it's like post surgery, a lot of the outcomes is to try and get your knee range of motion back again. So oftentimes looking into like the knee extension, right? And then
Mm.
looking at knee flexion. Typically, like each surgeon will be different, but trying to get that within like a range, knee flexion at least to 90 degrees by, a knee extension typically to 0 degrees so you can fully kick out and extend. So there's like, it's quite a graded kind of rehab process. And because ACL's been studied so extensively, well, at least rehab and injury, there is a bit of a protocol towards that.
Yeah, super interesting. Yeah, sorry if that got a bit off topic, but yeah, I think it's great insight, mate. I've learned something then, so you're welcome, viewers. Moving on, Walshy. Okay, one of the segments that are going to be coming up is a new one. I've sort of dissed him a little bit. No offense, Walsh, love ya, but I think he's earned it a little bit. That game he had, you can't be perfect all the time. We know Walshy's a bit of rocks and diamonds here and there, mainly diamonds. But I tell you what, he was throwing some rocks the other day. There was a bit of criticism regarding his performance, and on news.com, he's getting a bit of backlash from the fans saying he's a bit overrated due to his performance. What's your thoughts on that, Gazzy?
See, I've got a soft spot for Reece Walsh. He's electric. He's a great fullback. Last year, he was my first pick in the draft. The performance, though, yeah, let's just focus on that performance. I think lost to Canberra Raiders. He was a bit hit and miss, wasn't he? A lot of the times he wasn't there. A couple of errors. It wasn't his best performance. I think he'll take that with a grain of salt. Like, great player. Hopefully he can, kind of reflect through his what's going on and like in the next coming rounds, just I guess do a little bit better or get to get to those situations to set up his outside backs.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It'll be interesting this weekend. Obviously going to be looking for a bit of a rebound game, and I'm pretty sure it's the local derby. So that's going to be good. Yeah, Broncos, Cowboys on Friday night. I won't get too much into the inside of that yet, but yeah, I think he's going to want to turn up for the Queensland fans especially. A lot of eyes going to be on that one, and I think he wants to rehabilitate his reputation again. If you're one of the best players in the league, you're going to be scrutinised every single week. Yeah, he's going to want to turn up this week and deliver, but we'll get into the analysis later on.
Yeah.
Incidents investigation. So Manly's player, he's a hooker. Some people might not have heard of him before. Cham Kontong, he's a hooker, involved in a heated exchange with the Warriors fans during a recent match. And the incident occurred after Manly's captain Jake Trbojevic was sin bin, leading to taunts. Again, just worth noting, but probably the integrity unit for the NRL are going to investigate that further. But yeah, we don't like seeing fans and players getting into any heated arguments, whether it's verbal or physical. It doesn't look good for the game at all. What do you reckon, Gaz?
Yeah, no, not at all. Because it's like it causes us so much disconnect in the game, and I think at least the NRL wants to promote, like a friendly nature, like that family kind of environment where everyone's able to join the game. So when you see that, I don't think it's very nice to see that in the media or the news. But yeah,
No, not at all. But again, smaller player. But again, we don't leave anyone out here in tackles and tinnies. We include everyone. So Gazzy, do you remember the Vegas round story with a couple of Raiders players at all?
I briefly heard. I think I heard the apology.
I'll give you the full rundown. Some people might
Yeah.
not know exactly what happened. But according to news.com, Canberra Raiders players Hudson Young and Morgan Smithies received a breach notice from the NRL following an altercation in a Las Vegas hotel elevator. The incident stemming from a technical area on the hotel's behalf, might I add that, because one of them did not have a room. This led to an incident in the elevator where they were essentially having a bit of a scrap. Nothing too serious, but again, it's sort of got a bit escalated when people on the tinnies. So, but this led to a public apology, and the integrity unit got involved, and both players got put with a breach notice, and then the clubs had to deal with them independently. What do you think of that, Gazzy?
Well, I think the media always likes the news story.
Mm.
I wonder what this like scruffle was over and whether it was that bad or not. But I think these things are bound to happen. You're putting however many boys, two teams, three teams, or four teams
4 teams, yeah.
going to Vegas. You know what I mean? It's like something's bound to happen.
Let alone with
and
everyone
doesn't
trying to book the same hotels for sure.
exactly, and it's probably been spun in the media. It probably wasn't as bad as what actually happened, but yeah.
But it's like, if it's anyone else, like if it's just it's like a random little boys trip, it wouldn't even be newsworthy. It's just because a couple of bloody footy players have
100%.
done it. It's like boys being boys, and it's just
Exactly.
like me and you, if we went on a little boys trip and didn't have a room each, we'd be like, F
Yeah.
you, Gary, I'm going to want to take the room from you.
Oh, remember your 7 Kev that one time?
That's it, mate.
But yeah.
And I've left the best news story of all, and this is to all members out there. And I'm hoping Gold Coast, Titans, Seabus, whoever it's going to be, who's affiliated with it, but this one's important. Stadium policy potential changes. I read this one today. Full strength beer trial in Sydney stadiums. Let's bloody go. A 6-month trial has been initiated to allow the sale of full strength beer at CommBank Stadium and Accor Stadium in Sydney's West. This move aims to align with these venues with others in the city that already have permits for full strength alcohol sales. for us tinny boys, or what do you think, Gazzy?
That is very interesting. So can you fill me in with this, right? So they're selling full strength beer, as in before it was just mid strength.
Yes, so 1 standard drink per can or less.
Wow.
So now they're going potentially 1.4 standards, which is unreal because comparatively you're getting watered down piss essentially. And as a member, it's like $10 for a beer, which is absurd.
Yeah.
For a midi, especially.
Yeah.
So if they're doing full strength, it's a bit more reasonable in terms of the pricing. And I think us Aussies like a tinny or two, so I think probably increase sales even more.
I think it's great. Yeah. I mean, as in more value for money.
Yeah,
It'll
definitely.
be interesting though. For someone that can't really hold their drink, it'd be very interesting to see what like how that goes. Personally, I'm a lightweight, so I think I'll be okay.
I'll
I
balance it
might
out for the both of us, bro.
stick to
That's
the mid strength for me.
That's so good. But yeah, it's good insight anyway. Like, I give the people the options. Like, some people are heavy drinkers and they can hold their alcohol. Some people might just want to buy one drink but have a little bit more punch to it. Like, give the option if the people want it and the people will buy it. Hey, everyone's a winner in my eyes.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that trial goes. But yeah, I think that's a great thing for the
Maybe
game.
not come to Queensland because we're all pissheads.
Yeah, trial it in Melbourne and Sydney first. Yeah.
Good choice, eh? Yeah, magic round, mate. It'd be a bit dangerous.
Oh, goodness, Magic Round. It's always a great time though, isn't it?
100%.
Like
I'm going, mate.
full
I'm going.
weekend.
I'm going. I'll
That's
be
right.
recording for the team. I'll be recording. Get
Yeah.
some special guests on there. We have to go satellite with you again, Gazzy, for sure.
Go satellite. Well, Adam's going to be there. A couple of the
Adam's gonna be
boys
there.
from the SuperCoach
Yep.
chat. So that'll be very exciting.
Yeah, the commish. Alrighty, Gazzy. So new segment today. It's the NRL Build Your Player Challenge. It's gone quite viral. Not the NRL side of things, but the you have a certain amount of dollars to use and spend. But what we're going to be doing, you're going in blind. There's 4 categories, and I'm not going to tell you the categories, but you have $15 to spend. Okay, $5 being the most expensive, $1 the cheapest. Okay, and you got to budget yourself with the $15 over those 4 categories. Okay.
Okay.
You're trying to build the best NRL player possible. So, category 1, going in blind, Gaz. We are looking for size. Okay. I've looked at some players. I've thought of some ones, some oldies, some current players. Okay. But premium price at $5. We got big Coltrane Dave Taylor. Okay. Former Titans, former Rabbitoh. If you don't know who Dave Taylor is, look him up. He's an absolute beast, especially when he was fit. $5.
Absolute weapon.
Greg
$5.
Inglis, $4. Prime Greg Inglis. $3. Corey Horsburgh, 2025. Today's Corey Horsburgh looking pretty good.
Yeah, wow. $3.
$2. Daly Cherry Evans, and $1. Preston Campbell. He's the smallest bloke ever to win a Dally M medal. Saying, hey,
Wow.
size doesn't mean everything. So, what are you thinking, Gaz?
Now that's an interesting one because it's like I'm still yet to know the other team, so I have to pick quite tactically here. Let's go through the options again. But you said Big Dave Taylor at $5. I think that's a bit overvalued. Love Dave Taylor; he's a great player, but for $5, and I've only got $15, I think I have to say no to Dave Taylor.
Yeah, fair.
Can you? What was the?
So, Greg Inglis, $4.
Yeah, great
Corey
player.
Horsburgh, $3. $2 for Cherry Evans, and $1 for our boy Preston Campbell.
Preston Campbell. Okay. I'm going to have to say Corey Horsburgh. I'm going to spend my $3 on him.
Good pick. Solid. Not gigantic, not overly bulky, but yeah, he's got good size on him. I like that. $3. Okay, guys, you got $12 left. Category number 2. This is an important one because you can't teach this. Speed. Okay? Again, we're thinking about prime players unless it's stated otherwise. So prime Josh Addo-Carr. Very quick. Okay?
Yeah.
That's speed. Now, $4 is Reece Walsh. He's fast, but it's more on acceleration than top level speed. Take that in consideration. $3. Benny Hunt. Hey, tell you what, when he wore that Queensland jersey, he showed some bloody good speed, running that whole field and won us the game.
Beautiful to watch.
$2. Big Dave Taylor. I mean, not Dave Taylor. Dave Fafita, sorry. $2 a day for Fafita. And $1, Big Bopper, Georgie Rose.
Georgie Rose for speed.
So I'll go through it again. $5, Addo Carr at his prime. Reece Walsh, $4. Ben Hunt, $3. Dave Fafita, $2. And Big Georgie Rose. If you don't know who he is, look him up for $1.
I almost want to just be a troll and say Georgie Rose, but for speed, you can't go past the Fox. I'm going to lock in the Fox for speed.
$5.
The Fox at his prime, you could run almost under 10, I reckon, under 11 for sure.
Scary, eh? He's scary. So Corey Horsburgh's size at $3. You got Addo Carr at $5 of speed. Okay. You have got $7 left with two categories to go. Alrighty. Next category. Also important because we're a physical game. It is strength. Okay. At $5. Again, prime Jason Tamalolo. Absolute wrecking ball at his peak. Good luck stopping him. Better version than Paynas. $4. Current version of Greg Marzu. He is literally a bundle of muscle. Okay. $3. 2024 Jared Warrior-Hargraves. He's 35 in this instinct. He's not at his prime. $2. Sammy Walker. He's about 80 kilos. He's about my weight. Okay. It's pretty much a duplicate. $1. We got retired Cameron Smith. 2025.
For strength. Okay. Wow.
So go over that again. $5. Prime Jason Tamalolo. $4. Greg Marzu. $3. 2024 JWH. $2 Sammy Walker at 80 kilos. And $1 for 2025 Cameron Smith.
And I've got $7 left. That's a tough one. Greg Marzu, he's an absolute weapon. One of the biggest, strongest wing centers I've ever seen.
Definitely.
Warrior-Hargraves, though, he's a wrecking ball, at least when he played, what was it, last year. I'm going to have to spend, I'm going to go $3. I'm going to go in the mid-range there.
Yeah.
I'm going to save my last $4.
Pick.
Yeah.
Great
I'm going to go JWH.
I like that. Okay. Last one. Also very important because you're a footy player. It is vision. Vision, or it could be IQ, something along those lines. Okay. Just think football intellect. So $5. We got prime Andrew Johns, one of the best footy IQs around. He could literally spot a hole from anywhere. At $4, we got current Harry Grant, arguably the best hooker in the game. $3, you got current Cody Walker. $2, you got Zach Lomax in 2025 picking the Parramatta Eels as his team. Not great vision. Okay. And for $1, and I'm sorry, Reece Walsh, but it's Reece Walsh vision in round 2 of 2025. What are we thinking? $5, prime Andrew Johns. $4, Harry Grant. $3, Cody Walker. 2025, Zach Lomax picks in the Eels, or $1 for Reece Walsh round 2.
I'm just thinking how much money I've left to spend, hey? So I went for size. I went Corey Horsburgh, so that's $3.
Yep.
$5 was spent on Addo Carr, so that's $8. $11. So I got $4 left. So, I mean, if I had $5, can you spare me some change?
No change for you, brother.
Because Andrew Johns, he's an absolute weapon. Like, he's footy IQ, top of the chart. So if it was, I mean, if I could, I'd choose him. But between Harry Grant, Cody Walker, Zach Lomax, and Reece Walsh. Well, as much as I love Reece Walsh, he's electric, he'll have to go.
Not round 2 anyway.
Yeah. So between Harry, Cody, and Zach, I'm going to go Harry Grant. He's a mastermind.
Easy decision.
For the Storm, too. Plays for Queensland. Yeah,
Storm
he's great.
captain.
Can't go past him.
Yeah. And he literally, the ruck master, he literally tries flopping left, right, and centre like a dead fish when he sees someone in front of him trying to milk that penalty. IQ is very good. Now, guys, you listening in the podcast or on TikTok right now, we want you to post in the comments. I'll put all the dollars with the categories there, and I want you guys to tell us what your ultimate player is going off our categories. What do you reckon, Gaz?
Yeah, it's a bit of fun, hey?
Yeah.
See what team you can choose and create.
100%. And guys, if you have another idea for this $15 challenge, again, post in the comments or let me know. Yeah, I love doing this sort of thing, so it's really fun. I'll quickly go through mine. I'm thinking big Greg Inglis, at number 4. His size, his height to size ratio, really, really good. So that's $4. Speed, I'm picking Addo Carr. Okay, speed Addo Carr. So I'm going big. That's $9.
Fire.
Strength. Okay, I'm going Sam Walker because I plan on not getting tackled.
So
And and then I have to finish off with Zach Lomax.
Zachy,
Not as
yeah.
good. Not as good. Obviously taking the piss there. But yeah, guys, please post in the comments what you think is the ultimate player going for those categories. So,
No.
Gazzy, next up, we got a bit of news and a bit of a breakdown. So our wrap up for round 2. We got the Newcastle Knights beating the Dolphins. Okay, we were recording midway through the game last week, 26-12. I had the Finns winning. You had the Knights winning. Well done to you, Gazzy. You are picked correct. So did some research and I've been looking at ways we can improve this as well. Not just talking shit about the teams, but I'm looking at players' comments or coaches' comments post games through their interviews or through testimonials. So Knights coach Adam O'Brien praised the team's defensive resilience and ability to capitalize on scoring opportunities. No brainer. I think for the guys who play SuperCoach, Ponga absolutely brained it in the first half. He got like 120 points in the first half on SuperCoach. I think, yeah, obviously Ponga is essentially their halfback wearing a number 1 jersey. What do you reckon?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we were talking about footy IQ before, and Pong is amazing at that. A little bit, I think so Ponga played touch footy. So it stemmed from
Yes.
that. He's a touch footy player, then played schoolboys rugby union. So like he's played it all. Like he's had a wealth of experience. So yeah, like he's a 100% fullback, but halfback IQ too.
Yeah. I'm thinking we'll save this for other weeks too, and obviously we'll get more intel as the weeks go on. But I see Dill Brown either wearing the 6 or the 7, but as we just said then, Gazzy, I think Pong is going to be running that show next year, even with Dill Brown and Fletcher Sharp in the helm at 6 and 7.
Yeah, no, agreed.
But yeah, with the Dolphins, mate, Christian Wolf, the coach, acknowledged the team's errors and emphasised the need for discipline in upcoming matches. Obviously, a little bit decimated with injuries, obviously losing their backup fullback or potentially starting fullback in Trey Fuller. Got 2 of their second rollers out in Lemu and Fene Fuiaki. Not ideal, okay? But I think just off 2 weeks, is it too early to say, Gaz, the Dolphins are a bottom 4 team?
It's not a bad prediction, but a bit too early to say because, like with the Dolphins, great side on paper. I think they could turn it around. It's not too late. They could turn it around, but yeah, I think a lot needs to be done and pretty soon. Otherwise, just the way that they're going in their performance over the last 2 weeks, I'm not sure about their draw, but hopefully, they got a couple of easier teams to verse. Yeah, because they had the Rabbits and then. Who was it after? Rabbits. They had a loss to the Rabbits.
So they had Rabbitohs, and then they just lost to the Knights then. But in round 3, they got the Tigers, then the Broncos, Titans, Panthers, Storm. So got some pretty hard matchups, to be honest.
Yeah,
I think the
especially
Titans
against the
will obviously be
Titans.
better after a couple of weeks of practice and training. Tigers obviously on the mend and improvement. But yeah, the Broncos, the Panthers, and the Storms, 3 games in 4 weeks. Fuck me, mate. That's pretty tough.
That is tough. That is tough. That'll be tough. So that'll be very testing. So I think, look, if they can pull through like 3 out of that 5 or 4 out of the 5, they'll be looking pretty good.
Oh,
But if
you take
not,
that.
then yeah, exactly. So yeah, fingers crossed.
Do we say it's the Bennett Kurtz Scazzy or got to give Wolf more time?
Yeah, got to give him more time. I think give Wolf a bit more time. He'll rub off on the players. Yeah.
Yeah. But again, it's Rabbitohs are doing well and Dolphins aren't. Correlation equals causation potentially. Enough of the Finns. Game 2. So we had New Zealand Warriors versus the Manly Sea Eagles. We had the Warriors with an upset, or arguably an upset win over the Manly Sea Eagles, 36-16. Yeah, a hard game to watch. I'd
Yeah.
rage traded Luke Metcalf out. I'll go on to Supercoach later, but that one really hurt me. But Warriors coach Andrew Webster expressed satisfaction with the team's ability to rebound from previous performances and showcase their true potential, where Seagulls coach Anthony Seibold highlighted defensive lapses and the necessity to improve an execution of future games. Obviously hard with DCE having back spasms. Obviously hard with Turbo feeling hamstring tightness. But hey, they're better on paper in my eyes. But the Warriors, kudos to them. They killed it.
Yeah, they did really well. See, going into the game, I think we both tipped the Sea Eagles. I personally thought it was going to be a hiding for the Warriors, but Sea Eagles, like the Warriors in the end, turned it around and had a really good game. So it's like one win, one loss for the Warriors. I think if they can keep going, especially like the performance, if they can keep that going, yeah, like potentially even top 8 for the Warriors.
Man, tell you what, their 4-pack's pretty good. But if the thing is Metcalf, he proved me wrong and proved about 12,000 other super coaches wrong when they rage traded him out. But he looked great, and his running game's so important. But I think he stepped up more as a halfback, not just as a 5'8". And I think Metcalf with the keys to the ship, he's going to be there ride or die. But I thought Harris Tavita did quite well. Tuivasa-Sheck arguably had a pretty quiet game and actually wasn't that good defensively. But yeah, they got strike everywhere around the park, really, haven't they?
Yeah, yeah. Warriors have always just notoriously been like they could conjure up magic type of thing. So
and
definitely
I
a
think
team to watch out for.
yeah, for sure. JWH, big not Hargraves. Fisher Harris, sorry. He was great as well, playing bigger minutes comparatively to than he was at the Panthers. So it's good to see that as well. I think showing that bit of leadership and getting the boys back on the front foot after a bit of a sad start to the year. Fisher Harris is already showing some impact already, which is good to see. Goodbye. So next game, we had the Dragons versus the Rabbitohs in an absolute tight contest. It was Rabbitohs edging out the Dragons with a Humphreys field goal, 25-24. So super coach Wayne Bennett praised the team's resilience and ability to perform under pressure, particularly in clutch moments with Jamie Humphreys' field goal. And Dragons coach Anthony Griffin emphasised the need for sustained intensity throughout the match and improvement in goal kicking accuracy. Is that a little jab at our boy Val Holmes?
It sounds like it. I watched this one, and that field goal, Luke Humphreys, that left foot snap from left side of the field, that was beautiful to watch. That was such a great game. Yeah, it's an interesting one. Very clutch from the Rabbits, and I think
Very
Wayne
clutch.
Bennett has a lot to do with a team. Like he's a master coach. Like he's done it all. He's got so much experience. So for that, yeah, I think that's just gotten them over the line. But yeah, with
I think
Anthony Griffin,
I think it's
yeah,
interesting to note too that Jai Gray, step in fullback for Latrell Mitchell, he's killing it. His run meters are like 250 meters plus in the past 2 games.
yeah,
Fantastic. I think he got a 300-meter run game, which is crazy. But there was a controversial penalty try from Lachlan Ilias. And again, was it a penalty try? Could have gone 50-50, and obviously that was the difference in the match in terms of the end scoreline. So something worth noting, but hey, the refs are only human too. We can't be too hard on them. Without refs, we don't have a game.
yeah.
Next game, we had the Canberra Raiders versus the Brisbane Broncos. I think we both tipped the Broncos here, Gazzy, but tell you what, the Raiders looking pretty bloody good. The Raiders won 32-22. Coach Ricky Stewart for the Raiders commenting and commended the team's consistent play and strategic execution, highlighting the potential as a top contender. Definitely agree with that one. And Coach Madge Maguire for the Broncos acknowledged the need to address defensive shortcomings and reduce errors in future matches. As we touched on it earlier, Gazzy, the errors part, maybe that could go towards Walshy, potentially not executing in the back line of some plays. What do you reckon?
Yeah, yeah. The coach obviously not doesn't like single out a single player, but I think Walshy has a couple of push-ups to do at the training.
Also on the soft
With
one.
Ricky Stewart and the Raiders, yeah, they're looking great. Well, last year they're top 8 team. So But I feel like into this year they've just kind of like just kept going, kept that momentum going with their team, and a couple of great players there. And what's his name? What's the hooker?
Starling, gun,
Starling.
Tom Starling.
He's doing great. So they've got a great spine. I think Fogarty at
Yep, the
7.
halfback. Yep.
Yep, yep. So yeah, I think I'm hoping they do well. I'm hoping they do well. So I think I got a soft spot for the Raiders now.
Yeah. They're my team away from my team, eh? But going off that Tom Starling comment, I listened to a podcast with Tom Starling and Denham Kemp from the Bloke in the Bar podcast in the off season. It was pretty insightful interview from Tom Starling's point. He's always wanted to come off. He's always wanted to start for the team, but in the past years, due to his foot speed and ruck speed that he can create, Ricky Stewart has always seen him as a 14 or an impact player.
Mm,
But he really emphasised to Ricky Stewart near the end of last year that he wanted to start, and I think that trust is already coming twofold. Like he did killed some games at the end of last year. I think he
mm.
got a bit tired near the end of it, but he started so hot, and SuperCoach is always reflecting that with like an average of 95 plus.
Yeah,
But I think he just
same.
provides so much ruck speed and intensity and gets everyone on the front foot, especially when Big Papa, Tarpanay, and Horse are getting those quick play the balls for him. He's just scooting out a dummy half and creating havoc.
Yeah. Yeah, they've got a good game plan, hey, and their forward pack's really gelling. And then, once a forward pack can make meters, it's like the backs can finish it off type of thing, score the tries. So I think overall, it's just really gelling well together.
Yep, 100%. Alrighty, our next game. We got the North Queensland Cowboys versus the Cronulla Sharks. Sharkies didn't look great, but I tell you what, 36-12 might say otherwise. Coach Cowboys Todd Payton emphasised the importance of defensive improvements and capitalising on scoring opportunities, while Sharkies coach Craig Fitzgibbons focused on maintaining momentum and building on previous performances. Again, consistency creates greatness. Yes, the Sharkies didn't win round 1, but very, very competitive against the Panthers. But Cowboys, mate, what do you reckon, Gaz? Bottom 2? Not even bottom 4?
Yeah, I didn't catch this game, but just looking at the score lines, like there's a lot of work to do. The Sharks, that's a bit of a hiding, 4 converted tries. Yeah, probably back to the drawing board.
Sharkies did not look too good either, mate. I mean, they
Yeah,
had patches
okay.
of bit of purple patches here and there, but definitely wasn't at sort of their top level comparatively to the week beforehand. But interesting to note that Jake Clifford's back. TLT's got released this afternoon. Yeah, Jake Clifford, who sort of brought their team back into relevance at the end of last year when Chad Townsend got dropped. He's back
Mm,
in starting 7. So the young fella, Tom Duffy, who was in my super coach, he's been gone. He's the young halfback there. I think that's going to help out everyone in the team with a bit more experience at halfback.
mm,
It's definitely going to help Dearden because Dearden's definitely underperformed. But again, he's doing so much, or trying to do so much. Same with Drinky. And a
mm.
very young backline too. Got Purdue there, unproven. Braden Burns, as you mentioned, Gazzy, he's had a hamstring injury at the start. Talangi, he's been, how you going? And Vilea, he's just your consistent centre, nothing crazy, but does his job. So I think Tamalolo's back this week as well. So you got Clifford and Tamalolo back. That's
Right.
good news for the Cowboys.
Great addition.
Yeah. But I tell you what, mate, that's not looking good for us Queensland teams. We'll skip right on past that one. This was the game of the round. You might agree with me here, Gazzy. Sydney Roosters versus the Penrith Panthers.
How
So
good.
shock win for the Roosters. I think they were like $7 betting odds or something crazy.
When I
But
checked, it was at $11.
$11. Wow.
$11. Yeah.
Wild. Crazy. So
So a bit of an upset, hey?
I think it was arguably one of their greatest wins in recent history. Just they've lost so many keyword star players. Obviously, still got a pretty good team around them, but losing the star players has hurt them. But holding the Panthers, they didn't do great defensively. The Panthers scored a lot of points, but winning 38-32, that's pretty impressive. But I tell you what, mate, as the saying goes, some teams can just flick a switch. And I think the Panthers did that in the last 10 minutes. If you didn't watch the game, definitely watch the last 10 minutes of the game, because the Panthers just like, well, we're the best. We're the 4-time champs. We've been the grand final 5 been to the grand final past 5 years. let's just turn that switch on, and holy shit, Gary, that last 10 minutes,
It was
Cleary,
intense.
Isaiah Yeo, hobbled, Dylan Edwards went off the field with the groin injury,
Yeah.
but it literally went down to the last, 30 seconds? They
It was
literally
down to
went the
the
full
wire.
field twice, and then Brian Toto one-on-one with Daniel Tupou in the corner. Crazy finish. Like, I'm not a big fan of either of these teams, but I'll tell you what, I was on the edge of my seat as a rugby league enthusiast.
Well, Nathan Cleary, what I remember is that Nathan Cleary, he could have taken the kick to get it within 6,
Yes.
but I think he missed the kick, so then it was 8, the
Yes.
difference. But then I think it was 2 minutes later they got a penalty, and then
Yes.
they took the penalty. So
Match
within
back up.
6, yeah. So just the amount of points in such a short, like within like 10, 15 minutes, like the Panthers were clawing their way back, and you could tell that the Sydney Roosters were a little bit worried.
For
Like,
sure. Rattled. Hanging on it.
yeah,
Hanging on by their cat's tail, mate.
yeah. So yes, I reckon I agree with you. That was the game of the round.
Oh, for sure. And mate, for all money, I thought Brian Toto was scoring in the corner. Huge shout out to Daniel Tupou, the veteran in the corner, saving that try, because Toto, I tell you what, he's a little pocket rocket, and he normally scores that 9 times out of 10. So I guess it was that 1 out of 10 opportunity. But it's worth noting that Roosters captain James Tedesco post-interview expressed immense pride in the team's performance, highlighting their resilience and internal belief despite being underdogs. And as you mentioned, Gazzy, $11 at one stage. Where Panthers coach Ivan Cleary acknowledged the team's complacency and emphasised the need to address defensive errors and injuries affecting key players. Again, consistency creates greatness. Losing Dylan Edwards this week, they've got Dane Laurie. He's been a gun when he's had the opportunity to play fullback, so it'll be interesting. Isaiah Papali's back this week as well. Interesting to note.
Nice.
Next game, Sunday footy. West Tigers versus Parramatta Eels. West Tigers defeated Parramatta 30-18 with Tigers coach Benji Marshall expressing satisfaction with the team's performance on the effective integration of new recruits and the importance of building team cohesion. I tell you what, their culture's looking pretty good. I love that little picture I've seen on Instagram with all the boys jumping on Taruva after he scored that try, getting around, and they got the little tiger claw going like this. Absolutely froth it. Go check it out, guys, if you haven't seen it.
So
And Eels coach Jason Riles acknowledged the team's shortcomings, emphasising the need for improved consistency and execution in upcoming games. What do you reckon, Gazzy? What's happening with the those two teams?
yeah, West Tigers, they're killing it. They're doing so well. It's such a stark contrast between last season and this season and how well they're doing. And I wonder, it's like, is it because Luai's in the team and then there's just gelling a bit more through the spine? It'll be interesting to see what that's like through the next couple of rounds.
Yep, for sure.
But yeah, doing really well. Really happy for the West Tigers. Well, this was Spoon Bowl, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The West Tigers versus Parramatta Eels. So this
Oh, it
was,
was last year, correct? It was
it
Spoonball
was,
rematch.
yeah.
Good call.
So I think for Parramatta fans out there, like that's a tough loss
Mm,
because the
redemption.
Eels, they're not a bad team. They're just not consistent, or they're not performing to a like. And hopefully they can turn that around for the Eels.
Yep, for sure. I think obviously the Tigers got back Appy Coruscant, one of the better hookies in the game. Got back
Yeah,
Dream Buller, the Dream, very, very talented third-year player. But I think you're talking about the recruits, Gazzy, obviously Jerome Luai, Taruva, Skelton, a couple of other boys. But the biggest and best recruit, I think, you might agree with this one, Terrell May. Absolute workhorse.
he's an absolute weapon. Yeah,
What the
many
fuck were the
meters.
Roosters thinking? Like, that's just such a dumb move. Like, losing Terrell May, he is that good. His work rate's insane. His work rate's up there with Payne Haas. Great meter reader, plays huge minutes, only going to get better. He's just literally started really his career. Yeah, Terrell May, huge performance.
Yeah.
Also to note there that Brett Naden, their centre, sidelined for 6 to 8 weeks as well with a dislocated kneecap. So we actually missed that one in the Physio Corner. But yeah, dislocated kneecap, 6 to 8 weeks. What sort of recovery is that like, Gaz?
Yes, I've treated a couple of patella dislocations. They typically, yeah, a bit of a lateral. So what happens is that the patella like slides, pulls laterally. Sometimes there's a bit of bone injury around, but 6 to 8 weeks, it's pretty much trying to stabilize the knee, because oftentimes it can happen again. So that reoccurrent dislocation is quite common. So I don't think they'll be rushing that one, or at least not rushing Naden to return to playing. Yeah, that's a sore one. Yeah, 6 to 8 weeks sounds about right, and it'd just be about trying to strengthen so that it doesn't, I guess, happen again. It's a bit more stable.
Is that likely to happen now since it's happened once, or not really?
The likelihood of it happening again is higher now that it's happened. Just like a shoulder, if you dislocate your shoulder once, the reoccurrence rate, and
Not
I
you,
have
Gabby.
before, yeah. So I know I'm getting a shoulder reconstruction probably at 70, but just because it's happened before, yeah, it's like it can. You're at a greater risk of it happening again.
Yeah, good insight. Thanks, Gaz. And the last game, this one was a bit of a how you going? This was the Canterbury Bulldogs versus the Titans at Belmore. A lot happened in this game. Titans coming off the bye. Bulldogs getting decimated in terms of their key injuries, but the Bulldogs still won 40-24 at Belmore. So you got Bulldogs coach Cameron Ciraldo praising the team's dominant first half performance, and I'll get into that very shortly of some intel that we got earlier on, and resilience despite injuries to key players. And the Titans coach Des Hasler expressed disappointment with the team's defensive lapses, particularly in the first 20 minutes, and delayed introduction to star player Dave Fafita. Dave Fafita, what the hell was happening there? Who entered the game in the 50th minute.
Yeah, that's wild.
But Gazzy, you sent me this earlier on. I think it's definitely worthwhile getting some of these stats out there. So this is from the on Facebook from the Gold Coast Titans fan club, and it's from a guy called Blaze Kippax Ross. I hope I pronounced that wrong. Thank you, Blaze. But some key stats from the game, and I didn't really know any of these until today. So basically, it was even possession, 52-48, Dogs' way. There was a better completion rate for the Titans, actually was 76% to 75. There was 300 less meters made by the Titans with 1,500 comparatively to 1,800. The same sort of line break, 6-5, going the Dogs' way. Tackle breaks are pretty much the same with Titans at 31, Dogs at 30. Even average set distance, so about 40 meters per set. Titans played the ball faster by 0.1 of a second, minuscule but still worth noting. Titans had 2 more offloads, better tackle efficiency, so 87% compared to 85% for the Dogs. Less tackles missed, so Titans did 31 missed tackles compared to the Dogs, which I thought was a lot different. Same penalties at 5-5, but the biggest issue was, guys, and this is what you emphasised to me this evening, the Bulldogs in the first 20 minutes were up 22-0, but after that 20 minutes, the Titans won 24-18. Interesting to note. So what can we say about the Titans and the Dogs' performances, Gazzy?
Yeah, so as a Titans fan, it was the result I don't think was reflective of what actually happened. And it's great to go through those stats because it actually showed that the Titans did pretty well. Just aside, like if we can take away that first 20 minutes, it's actually much closer. And, it might be, I'm not trying to make an excuse for the Titans, but, it might be just having a bye, first round in, that first round nerves, kind of slow to start, that type of thing. Fingers crossed that it is that, but they actually did okay on paper in terms of stats. They were matching them. It was quite even between them two, but I think it definitely was just that first 20 minutes, didn't start out strong. And I guess in the end, it was to the Titans' detriment.
Oh, for sure. And, mate, watching it live at the Sporting Globe, I was just blowing up at the TV, mate. Just watching the just simple, silly errors, it's not executing. Just Tino looked a bit slow at times at the very start of the game. He definitely turned it on, don't get me wrong. But looked very slow in his first stint. To be expected coming back from the ACL. Fermor looks slow. I think there's a bit of a correlation. Us, Randall, Nico, Sam and I always joke about the Titans being mid. And we're not being mid in terms of their ability. It's more mid in terms of their frame. They literally, if you look in their back line, they're all the same height and all the same stature. There's no differentiation. And now in the forwards, it's much of the same as well. We've got Campbell Gillard, we've got Fodawaker, we've got Tino, all pretty much play very similar, meaning that means we have two more front rowers come off the bench as well in Joel Leaf, potentially Pahulu, potentially Khalees Haas, depending on how the roles are working. Fermor and Fafita a bit more dynamic, but definitely didn't look too good this game. I think we were losing a bit of punch out of hook. I didn't think Sam Verrills had the best game. I thought Chris Randall was quite good when he came on, giving them a spell. But JC thought his kicking game at the start of the game, getting a bit of differentiation in his kicks. He was doing those huge sort of burden-like bombs. Very good. Kudos to Connor Tracy and the back three catching those balls. But yeah, the variety of the kicks were good in the first half. But I think as the game went on and JC and Brimo were getting a bit more fatigued, it was going back to Titans 2024 with the same fucking end over end kicks, which were just not doing anything. The Titans kick pressure wasn't very good, where the Bulldogs were doing that in spades in the first 20 minutes. Like, you go back and look at some of the highlights. You go watch Stephen Crichton chase the ball off some of those kicks from Toby Sexton, and while I'm on Toby Sexton, definitely player of the game in my eyes, just watching the game. Fantastic ex-Titans player. His kicking game was awesome and very unlucky not to score a try. He was very close a couple of times. But the 40-20s, almost did like 3 40-20s. Like, especially when Birdo went off, he just took the game with two hands and did really, really well. So shout out to Toby Sexton. But the Titans just, looked a bit rattled, didn't they?
Yeah, I definitely agree. The kick chase from the Titans was not as good as the Bulldogs. Like the Bulldogs, they would close the distance and almost just right over. Didn't leave much room for Kinney to run. So I think if in kicking game, I think Jaden Campbell did okay, but yeah, it'd be good to if they had more attacking ball and then getting it, right before the in goal. That way there can be a bit more of an attacking kind of play. But yeah, I think a lot to learn from that game for the boys. I thought Tino, I'm glad he survived his first round back.
3
Let's
stints,
go,
mate.
Tino.
3 stints. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, yeah, another thing, what you mentioned before, interesting that Fafita only came in at 50 minutes. You're thinking, is that, wasted?
What's your
He's
thoughts on
$1
that, mate?
million per season.
Like, I don't get it. Fafita's making so much money. Regardless of the money, he's one of the best forwards in the game, let alone the Titans. When he's healthy, and I know he's coming back from injury and surgery in the off-season, whatever, but you got Khalees Haas starting. I get that. You want to take some of the brunt away when all those big fellas are running at you at 120 kilos. You want Fafita to come in with a bit of punch. Okay, I get that. I can cop that. But waiting till the 50th minute mark, the boys and I were just like yelling at the TV at like the 25th minute, the 30th minute, let alone the 35th minute in the first half. Like, when is Fafita coming on? You got Khalees Haas out there looking gassed. He's done his job. Bo Fermor was looking super slow, very, very, very slow. Chuck Fafita on. We needed something to change in the first half, and Fafita could have been that game breaker, and I think Desi left it too late. What do you reckon?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I think he left it like 50 minutes in. It's a bit late to put on like one of your strike players. But how about Bo Fermor's intercept? Just wanted to chat a
Yeah,
little bit about that.
yeah, I'm a bit harsh on him. He did good there.
You made a couple of meters on that run.
He
That
did.
was great.
I was
Um,
screaming at the TV at where's Keeney or AJ or something.
yeah. Speaking of Kenny, I think Kenny had a pretty good game. Like he was safe under the high ball,
Very
which
safe.
was positive. And then a couple of line breaks too. I think he
Yep. That
made
try for
that.
Jojo Fafita was really, really good.
Yeah, that was nice. Yeah,
Yep.
a line break, big right foot step, running down the sideline,
Yep.
and then that offload back in.
Great
That was
offload.
sweet. Yeah,
Yep.
that's the Kenny I remember from last season. So
100%.
hopefully he can
Yep.
keep that up.
Yep. Yeah, I just think they've got the same starting team besides Cam Pereira. They got Tony Francis coming in, bigger body, so it'll be interesting how he goes. Maybe taking some of those hit ups. Also interesting to note that Jojo Fafita and Philip Sami were swapping between center and wing. Interesting. I really like Jojo on the wing comparatively, but Sami did quite well at center. I think just putting Khalees Haas first 20 minutes, go ham, and then put Cleese Haas at front row for another 5 minutes and put Dave Fafita on after 20. So Fafita gets 60 minutes, but they take the grunt out of the first 20. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think there'll be changes. There'll be changes. I reckon Desi might, you know, take a couple of things from the game. And hopefully, I'm hoping, yeah, a few more minutes from a big time player.
Yep, for sure. But again, we're banging on the Titans, but I think we've got to give some roses to the Canterbury Bulldogs. The Belmore crowd definitely came out for them, and it was very much a fortress. Watching that game on TV, the crowd was loud. They were definitely providing energy. And Kikau, when he was playing pre MCL injury, my God, he looked good. He was so strong in contact. Yeah, he was one of the best players out there before he got injured, for sure. Burden obviously providing that direction. Sexton, as I mentioned earlier, was fantastic. I thought Montoya, the new winger from the Warriors, catching those balls from some of JC's big spiral kicks at the start of the game, fantastic. I thought Connor Tracy, safe as houses, every single kick JC and Brimo put up, caught every single one of them. Josh Curran, the unsung hero from last year, was fantastic. Jacob Preston, old reliable. But now with Kikau out, you got Satili Tupanua. I thought he was serviceable. I love Tupanua. I think he's going to be great for him as well. Sort of a one-for-one replacement in terms of the play style. But they got Bailey Hayward coming in at 5'8". I thought they would have gone Drew Hutchinson. If you guys remember Drew Hutchinson from the Roosters last year, or maybe 2 years ago, sorry, when they went that huge run, Hutchinson was that player to carry the Roosters. I thought he would have been a one-for-one for Sexton. I mean, not Sexton for Burden, but they're not doing that. They're going with more of a hybrid 5'8". So interesting to note there as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's our weekly wrap up in terms of the games, Gaz. But let's jump into SuperCoach. So, Gazzy, are you happy with your team this week?
Yes, I was pretty stoked. Thought it in the classic it did pretty well, 286 from
Take that,
memory.
mate.
So
That's Green Arrows.
yeah, a bit better than last week. So
Yep.
yeah, stoked.
So, what's your current ranking, mate?
Huh.
You said about 31K, yeah?
I think around 31. Yeah.
Yep. Well, mate, I was actually stoked this week. I was pissed off last week. Besides my rage trades for Luke Metcalf, my trades were pretty good. I scored 1386, so absolutely frothing that.
Killing it.
I'm ranked up to 20,000 now from 70,000 the week prior. And I made some trades. I don't know if you've got your trades ready, Gazzy, but I'll quickly read out mine. I've got Sandon Smith. I'm flexing him down to halfback because I'm dropping Tom Duffy from the Cowboys. Well, he's not named this week, so he has to be dropped. So instead of Tom Duffy, I've got Tom Starling in. We mentioned Tom Starling absolutely ripping in for the Raiders. I had Zach Hosking in my team, but as you mentioned in Physio Corner, he's got a fractured hand, so he's out 3 to 6 weeks. So I've got in their new English export, Matty Nicholson, and he got around 90 Supercoach points, and a couple of content creators like Supercoach Whisperer has actually been riding him all off season. So shout out to the Supercoach Whisperer on Matty Nicholson from the English Super League. He's only about 336,000K. And then I've upgraded Purdue from the Cowboys. A bit of a theme, dropping 2 Cowboys there for Jesse Arthurs. And I think that's going to be a lot of people. His break even is just stupid. So he's going to make a ton of cash. You got any trades you're going to be making, Gazzy?
I haven't made them yet, but I will need to. And it sucks because I think I said this on the podcast last week, but I traded in Kikau. So he might need to be traded out, being out for like, 5 to 6 weeks. I'm looking at my lowest, and Luai. Luai scored 19, so it's like after round 2, do I trade him? Like he's got so much potential, and the West Tigers are doing well. I just don't know. Yeah. Otherwise, I might wait for a little bit.
Yeah,
But yeah.
just check your camera for me, Gazzy. I think it's just turned off. But also worth noting, we're going to give our roses to the best players, and I tell you what, Gaz, Clint Gutherson, 146. Wow. What a buy. Tell you what, the Parramatta Eels could be using Gutho. But yeah, he was the top scorer this week. Kalen Ponga, tell you what, he may as well just chucked his feet up in the second half. I think he got like 20 points in the second half. But he killed it at 129. And then a couple boys, 4 boys within 2 points of another. We had Tedesco at 119. Dan Tupou, the try saver on Toto at 119. New recruit for the Tigers, Taruva, 117. And Rage Trade McGee, Luke Metcalf at 117. I tell you what, I wish I kept him, but hey, you can't win them all. Still on Supercoach, we got a little segment. A lot of other podcasters do something similar, but it's obviously worth noting for my listeners or our listeners out there. You buy, hold, you sell, but we're going to call it the cash in, steady as she goes, and time to cut loose. So since it's round 3, most teams bar 2, obviously being the Titans, the Dragons because they have the bye this week, and the Storm who had the bye last week, it goes off a rolling 3-round average. So most of the other teams, they're going to start getting their prices changed on Supercoach. So, as I mentioned just before, Jesse Arthurs has a negative break even of 82. So he literally walks out in the park and he's making you money. So he's someone in your team that you definitely want. Robert Toya, negative 70. Definitely worth having in your team. Tamale, negative 59. Definitely worth having in your team. 3 outside backs, 3 very big cheapies. If you haven't got them, get them in your team. Tommy Starling, we mentioned him just before, negative 58. You could probably get away with not having him, but if you were looking for cash generation early on in the season, definitely worthwhile putting him in. Jason Saab was a bit 50-50 for me. I was helping some of the boys at school today with Jason Saab, but since Turbo is playing, certainly worthwhile keeping Saab in. He's got a break even negative 54. And then we got other players like Sandon Smith, negative 51. Though you don't have to buy him this week, but I tell you what, he's probably going to be in my team next week with negative 46. Shibasaki at negative 43 for the Broncos. Job security isn't there. Tony Staggs is the 19th man this week for the Broncos. So that's definitely worth noting. Probably the last week, so you're probably going to get one price rise out of Shibasaki. Azalis from the Rabbitohs, I had him. Fantastic. He's got a negative 35. That was good. I held him. Corey Horsburgh, he's absolutely killed it for the Raiders. Dual position, negative 33. And Matty Nicholson, worth noting. First game, however, but break-in of negative 26. So there's some guys you should be looking out for in terms of the buying. In regards to the holding, so steady as she goes, it's hard. And some of my mates like Adam, Chris, and Andy, they always tell me, be patient, don't rage trade, don't get so emotional, but it's definitely my kryptonite. But Nico Hines, Nathan Cleary, Lukey Metcalf, if you've got them, hold them. Don't touch them. Okay, these are the guys who are going to make you money. The 2 Primos and Cleary and Hines might lose a bit, but everyone wants to get to them. So you may as well hold them. You might lose a bit of cash, but definitely worthwhile saving the trades. And the last one is Isaac Iongi, okay? Didn't do too well last week, but his bottom price, not playing for a great club, but I do project with a couple of changes for the Eels, I do project him to be a little bit better. Not versing such a good team. Yeah, I think Iongi is going to be all right. And then guys who you should be looking to sell, you might get one more week out of Purdue, but probably job security is not going to be there. Must sell is Tom Duffy from the Cowboys. His job security isn't great. And then a couple of injuries like Hosking, Kickout, Burden, and Dill Edwards. These are guys you should definitely be looking at getting rid of or cutting loose in your Supercoach. Some of them are quite long, 5 to 6 weeks for some of those guys. So Gazzy, you said earlier that you had Kickout in your team.
Yeah.
Definitely someone you probably got to look at trading out, mate.
Yeah, 100%.
So that's our Supercoach wrap up for the week. Now we're going to one of my favorite segments, my old reliable capped or fact featuring ChatGPT. Okay, we'll quickly review last week's calls. So ChatGPT reckoned the Knights were going to win, which was fact. They also got right the Warriors versus the Seagulls game. They picked the Warriors, which was fact. They said the Panthers were going to beat the Roosters, which was cap. They said Rabbitohs were going to beat the Dragons, which was fact. They lost the Cowboys against the Sharks. They lost the Broncos against the Raiders. They lost the Eels against the Tigers. And they got the Bulldogs right against the Titans. So overall, they were 4 out of 8. So 50% hit rate. Not too bad. So let's see if ChatGPT can improve that strike rate, Gazzy, with this week's predictions. So cap or fact, Gary, ChatGPT reckons the Panthers will edge out the Storm in a thrilling contest, with Panthers scoring 24, the Storm to 20. What do you reckon, mate?
I think that's cap. That's cap for sure. Yep, I reckon Storm. It's going to be the other way around. Storm are playing for the premiership this year. I mean, they all are, but they're out for revenge. Yeah, Storm probably by 6, I reckon.
Yeah, losing Dill Edwards is going to be huge for him, I reckon, too, mate. Like, Dane Laurie's good, but Dylan Edwards is a New South Wales Australian fullback. That's a huge loss. And Storm coming off a week's rest and a grand final loss to them. They're going to be very hungry to win.
Mm.
So, yeah, I reckon that's going to be cap 2. I'm predicting the Storm. New Zealand Warriors versus the Sydney Roosters. The prediction is the Roosters will bounce back with a convincing win, or they won, over the Warriors. So they project the Roosters to beat the Warriors 30-16. What do you reckon?
See, that's a tough one. Hey, coming into round 3, I'm gonna say he's 50-50. It's like if the Roosters can keep going, they had a massive upset, and it's like the Warriors had a bit of an upset too with them winning. So that's gonna be I think that was gonna be a close one. But for me, I'm gonna say cap.
You got the Warriors.
I reckon Warriors, and a little bit of me wants the Warriors to win too. But yeah, I reckon Warriors. It'll be very close, but Warriors by like only a few, like maybe under 2 points.
Yeah, interesting. I hope it's a close game regardless. But yeah, both teams are very hungry. But I reckon it's fact. I reckon the Roosters after the Panthers game they're going to be really high on confidence. But it'll be interesting. Time will tell. Broncos versus the Cowboys. GPT reckons the Broncos will continue their dominant start to the season with a solid win over the Cowboys. They predict the Broncos 28, Cowboys 18. What do you reckon, Gaz?
That's straight facts.
Yeah, facts,
Straight facts.
100%.
I think Broncos will win. Yeah, they're good. They're looking good. Broncos, Cowboys, at least after last week, not as good. So yeah, that'll be a good one to watch.
Broncos definitely due for a bounce back. I reckon, yeah, ChatGPT's got that one right. That's facts for sure. Next one, we got Sharkies versus the Rabbitohs. ChatGPT reckons the Rabbitohs will secure a narrow victory in a high-scoring affair, predicting the Rabbitohs winning 26-24. Morgan, don't get too excited, mate. ChatGPT's got your back. What do you reckon, guys? Cap or fact?
Yeah, I'm riding the rabbits, and Morgan would love to hear us, but yeah, that's facts. Straight facts.
Oi, nice. Okay, I got cap. I think the Sharkies are just going to be too good, but I think it'll be close. But yeah, I'll say cap. So it'll be interesting. Dolphins versus West Tigers. ChatGPT reckons the Dolphins will notch their first win of the season against the Tigers, 22-14. Cap or fact?
Ooh, yeah, this one's gonna
And
be
the Dolphins are
interesting.
home. The Dolphins are home.
In Dolphins home, I think that gets them over the line. Yeah, I'm gonna agree. Yeah, that's facts right there.
Yeah,
Dolphins.
I'm hoping Dolphins too. Bit of bias there, but yeah, I say facts. I'm going to this game. Also, you, Gazzy. Home game for the Gold Coast Titans versus the
Saturday night.
Newcastle Knights.
I can't wait.
Titans will outlast the Knights with a closely contested match. ChatGPT, you beauty, is betting that
Love
the
it.
Titans will win 20-18. Cap or fact? Don't you have to
Would
say
you
it?
look at that? I don't even have to say it. Straight facts.
Yeah, facts, baby. Let's go.
Copy machine. Copy, copy. Yeah.
Come on,
Yeah,
algorithm, sort us out.
yeah. Well, see, I'm tipping with my heart rather than my head. So
Knights looked pretty bloody good last week, didn't they?
yeah, yeah,
I reckon. Come on, Titans home on the Goldie, first home game. Let's give it to the boys.
yeah. We'll be there cheering.
We'll
So
be there
nice and
cheering.
loud.
Alrighty, next game we got Eels versus Doggies. Eels will bounce back from an early season struggle to secure a win. They predict the Eels 26, Bulldogs 20. What do you reckon, Gaz?
Yeah, the Eels, they're due for one. I'm gonna go for the underdog, but they're due for one. They're Bulldogs. They're very good, but you know the two with Kickow out, Burton out with MCL.
Huge.
It's like huge loss. Yeah, I'm gonna fact.
Okay, nice. I'm projecting the Doggies to still win, but yeah, wouldn't be surprised if the Eels get that one. Last game of the round. We got the Seagulls versus the Raiders. This will be a hotly contested match. The Seagulls will dominate the Raiders with a commanding performance. Wow. They predict the Seagulls 32, Raiders 14. Randall, don't get too excited, mate. What do we think, Gaz?
Yeah, it's going to be
Manly home.
closer than that.
Manly at home.
And Manly at home, it's going to be closer than that. But Eagles, I reckon that's facts. Eagles will
Yeah.
get up.
Especially after Turbo and DCE being named. I think it's a no-brainer. And I've also this week, Gazzy, I've got ChatGPT to make bold predictions. Let's see if there are how tricky they are. So ChatGPT reckons for the entire round, one forward will get a hat trick. Be interesting.
Interesting, yeah.
ChatGPT reckons there's going to be a golden point thriller, resulting in a team winning by 1 point. And ChatGPT also reckons there's going to be 5+ sin bins for the entire round. So interesting predictions there.
Wow.
Time will tell. So Gazzy,
Good.
I've got our betting table, and I tell you what, I might need ChatGPT's help because my betting has not been good. It has been so bad. So Gazzy, last week the results are the Knights versus Dolphins game. I tipped the Finns, you tipped the Knights. Okay, you're already up 1. We both
Yeah.
tipped Manly over the Warriors, and we both got that incorrect. Next was Panthers Roosters. We both tipped the Panthers. We both got that incorrect. Then you tipped the Rabbitohs, and I tipped the Dragons. So you got that point. So you're up 2 up on me.
Let's go.
We both tipped the Sharks. We got that one. So we're 3-1. We both tipped the Broncos. Got that wrong. We both tipped the Tigers. We both got that right. So you're on 4. I'm on 2. And then we both tipped the Titans. So you got 4 out of 8 games, and I got 2 out of 8 games. Absolute shocking week in terms of the head-to-head betting. But the bold predictions, Gary, did we do any better? And the answer is no, we did not do any better. Gary, you projected Ola Kawadu to score a double against the Warriors. Wrong. Titans to beat the Doggies by more than 12 points. Wrong. And then you also tipped Luai to score 80 SuperCoach points. Wrong. Didn't even get 20. So,
No, that was so poor.
then my bold predictions, I can't even comment. I'm just as bad. So, Kinney and AJ Brimson to score. Both of them were close, but both didn't score. Wrong. Panthers to score 36+ points on the Roosters. Very close. I think they got 32 points, but yes, still incorrect. And then Turbo to score 95+ points on Supercoach against the Warriors. Obviously got injured, but still incorrect. So both of us got 0 points for the bonus section of this round. Not very good. So Gary, round 2, you scored 4, I scored 2, which means for the season, you're on 8 points, I'm on 5 points. Gazzy, do I need to start practicing my eating and running, or is there a chance still?
I reckon you gotta start practicing, right? Let's do a
Righto,
couple of
bruh.
5Ks. Let's go a
I'm a
bit
big
of
eater
bit of
and big runner,
training,
mate. Easy.
couple of
Going and
beers while
going.
training.
Yeah. Couple of
Go
tinnies.
train for
We'll
both
see,
of them.
mate. Early days, bruh. Early days. So, Gazzy, this week you've sent your tips in for me. We got Storm versus Panthers. We both tipped the Storm. We got the
Yeah,
Warriors versus the Roosters. Both tipped the Roosters, but even though you said the Warriors, would you like to change?
I did say yes. Okay, I'm gonna take it. Let's
Alright,
change.
Warriors.
Back
Add
to
that in. Both of us tipped the Broncos against the Cowboys. Sharkies versus Rabbitohs. I've tipped the Sharks. You tipped the Rabbits. Dolphins versus Tigers. I tipped the Tigers. You tipped the Dolphins. Titans versus the Knights. We both tipped the Titans.
come on, Titans.
The boys, let's
Come
go.
on, boys. If you're listening, fire 'em.
You've also contradicted yourself here, Gazzy. You've tipped Parramatta against the Dogs. Would you like to change your bet, or you want to hold
I
firm?
might. Oh, this is a tough one. I might eat my words. Nah, let's hold firm. I'm gonna go dogs. I'm gonna
Okay,
change that back to dogs.
probably a good decision. And then the Seagulls versus the Raiders. I've got the Raiders, but I made this tip before the DCE Turbo news, so I'm going to revert
Yeah.
back to the Seagulls.
Ooh. Hey.
Okay, we both got the Seagulls. So, Gary, your bold predictions this week. Both props for the Broncos, Payne, Haas, and Carrigan to score versus the Cowboys. Tell you what,
Yeah.
maybe a chance.
Mm.
Dogs to beat the Eels by 12+ points and kick out and critter to score. You can't have kick out, so I'll give you critter. Isn't that nice of me? You might get the bonus point there. And Dolphins to actually, I'm going to give you Satili Tupanua because that's a 1-for-1. You're welcome.
I'll take it.
Satili Tupanua to score and critter. Okay. We've also got the Dolphins to beat the Tigers by 12 points. Okay, I like that. My bold predictions this week. I got 2 of the big four for the Storm, so it could be Pappenhausen and Jerome Hughes, for example, will score against the Panthers. So 2 of the big four for the Storm to score against the Panthers. The Warriors versus Roosters game will be 75 points plus combined. So I'm expecting a high scoring affair for those two teams.
Big one.
And I've got Preston and Satili Tupanua to score for the Dogs. So I think we're both gone for the Doggies, mate. And we both want Satili to score. I'm a bit biased because I've got Satili Tupanua in my SuperCoach draft.
Nice.
Okay, that's our tips. And again, we'll keep you guys updated on how we're going. But I'll tell you what, Gazzy, I need some... Okay, so the Tinnie Awards this week. We've got the Hit Stack Award. Again, that's the biggest, most bone-rattling hit of the week, guys. We voted for Jackie Whiten from the Rabbitohs. His defense on Herbie Farmworth, mate, insane. Herbie's one of the best runners of the ball in our league. 2-time in a row Dally M medal winner for the centre position, and also reigning hottest man in rugby league 2 years in a row. Also worth noting, gets some more aura points. Yeah, I think the Hit Stick Award definitely goes to Jackie White, and Herbie had no space. I think it was a bit of a personal accomplishment for Jackie White. Stat sheet stuffer. So that's SuperCoach Monster Performance. I've divided into 2. Kalen Ponga in the first half, you got like 120 points, absolutely killed it. And then Clint Gutherson, you got 146 points, ridiculous for the Dragons. But yeah, Gutho definitely gets the award, but definitely honourable mention to Kalen Ponga for his first half performance. Now, Gaz, the Not So SuperCoach Award. Someone who absolutely stunk it up this week. Think of someone who did not do too well. Who do you reckon it is?
Reece Walsh.
Yep, correct. Ding, 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 ding. Some of you may remember that my girlfriend Laura created a SuperCoach team, and I recommended her last week. Again, it was a favourable matchup for the Broncos, potentially, that Reece Walsh should be the captain for Laura. Captain gets double points. That meant Reece Walsh got 18 points as captain. No. You can imagine the yelling and the DVs that were happening at home. She thinks I'm trying to tank her scores. But yeah, Reece Walsh, 9 points. Definitely not so SuperCoach this week. Also, Cody Nikorima got 10 points. Not very good as well. And we also had Jerome Luai not scoring too many points, especially for a dominant win for the Tigers. We have the Hidden Gem Award. So this is the unsung hero who deserves more hype. I think the Raiders forward pack, everyone always talks up the Broncos forward pack. You got Haas, Carrigan, all those big boppers. But I think Josh Papali'i, in his twilight years of his career, fantastic. I thought he was really, really good. Got a little meat pie for himself as well. But I think Corey Horsburgh, huge. He was fantastic. He's been doing his best Terrell May / Payne Haas impression in terms of minutes and work rate. So huge shout out to those two big boppers. They definitely won the battle against arguably the Australian front rowers against Payne Haas and Carrigan. So really, really good job to the Raiders forwards. And now, I've sort of changed this one a little bit, but the bloke who needs a Tinnie Award. So someone who had a shocker and they need a Tinnie ASAP. So we obviously mentioned Walsh, standard. He's definitely going to be getting that. He's had a rough ride this podcast. But some other boys, potentially, could be Brian Toto not scoring in the corner. He'd be feeling a bit upset. You got Nathan Cleary's busted chin. You got all the boys doing their MCLs and hamstrings. But yeah, I think Reece Walsh definitely needs a Tinnie. But that is the bad Tinnie. Now we're getting the good Tinnie. This is the golden Tinnie, the illustrious, the famous, the golden award for our show. The golden Tinnie doesn't necessarily mean the highest score of the week in SuperCoach. It doesn't mean that you've got all the cachet and reputation. This is the award that goes to someone who's worked their ass off. Might not be a household name, but is someone who is just winning games for their team. And it's Jamie Humphries for the Rabbitohs. He's the halfback. He is the one who got the field goal. Absolute clutch play at the end of the game. Coming from Manly. Huge buy. He's going to go gangbusters with Wayne Bennett as his coach. Yeah, Jamie Humphries, onwards and upwards. He's keeping out the $700,000 Dodds from Super League. So yeah, shout out to Jamie Humphries with the Golden Tinnie Award. Any comments there, Gazzy?
No, I think that I totally agree. That was such a pivotal moment with that field goal. And I think it'll be reliving that on the highlight reels. It's amazing.
So, Gazzy, we got our official first comment on social media. So, guys, I finally got my ass into gear, and I promised you guys I'd post on TikTok / Instagram Reels. I did it, and you guys are commenting. So, I guess the hard work is worth the effort. But one of the commenters on there, his name is Wink on TikTok, and he's asked me what are our thoughts, Gary, on the Melbourne Storm in 2025.
I love that. Yeah, shout out to Wink. That's great. I love a bit of fan engagement. Melbourne Storm in 2025. They were great. Got to the grand final and against the Panthers.
Yeah.
This was 24, sorry. But the Storm in 2025, I think they're going to go really far. I think they're going to get, top 4 and then see what they're like in the finals. I reckon they're in the grand final.
What do you reckon?
I better not say put your money on that, Wink. But
Well, Wink, my opinion, mate, they didn't get worse. They haven't really lost anyone. If anything, their younger fellas like Jack Howarth, you got Grant Anderson starting on the wing this week. Those guys are getting better. You got Sean Bloor, who's new to your system from last year. He's only going to get better. You got a healthy Pappenhausen. You've got a healthy Jerome Hughes. You've finally got a healthy Cameron Munster. Harry Grant's the best hooker in the world. You got You got Elise Katoa on the right edge with Jerome Hughes. Gun. Didn't even mention the two gigantic beanstalks on the wing, Zave Coates and Warbrick. Those guys are meter eaters, aerial threats. They've got strike everywhere. And I think a healthy Pappenhausen, as we saw in round 1, fantastic. I think he's just going to be that icing on top from Cameron Munster's flair and Jerome Hughes' steady hand, and obviously Harry Grant just creating havoc through the middle. But didn't lose anyone. Younger fellas are getting better. The newer players from last year are getting more accumulated to the roster and how everyone plays. But more importantly, they were lacking a front rower, which was evident in the grand final. Nelson's coming back either this week or next week. He's been named on the centre bench this week. But more importantly, they got Stefano Ukamanu from the Tigers. Raw talent, played New South Wales a couple of years ago, craving some coaching from one of the best in Craig Bellamy. And I think being in a winning culture with winning players, origin players, Australian level players, international level players, with some of the best coaches around, with the high standards in the game, I think the Melbourne Storm not only are my premiership favourites to beat probably the Broncos or the Panthers in the grand final, but they're going to win the minor premiership, and I think they're going to do it pretty convincingly. Health pending. They got depth everywhere too.
It's a great analysis, right?
Cheers, bro. But yeah, thank you to Wink. And guys, more questions are better because love talking shit and providing you guys a bit of insight on what we think. But yeah, keep interacting with us on social media, guys. You can either TikTok, it could be Instagram, comment. Again, the more that we get, the more that we can interact with you guys. We can even do just live Q&As where we just jump on live and we can just have questions feeding on through and we answer as we go. Again, the more that you guys comment, the more that the algorithm picks us up on social media, the more that we can do for you guys. So again, any comments, any suggestions, any segments that you want to hear, any analysis that you want to hear, anything from Gazzy regarding Physio Corner specifically. I'll tell you what, I learned some things regarding ACL, MCL, and hamstring injuries today. So thanks, Gaz. Who needs uni when you got Gary here? But yeah, guys, like, subscribe, tell your mates, share it around, tell your parents. But yeah, more importantly, thanks for listening. Any last words, Gaz?
No, I think you summarised it perfectly. Just shout out, write comment, and yeah, just let us know any questions. We love them.
Yeah. And guys, we'll leave this one in the comments for the very end. What is your bold prediction for round 3? What is your bold prediction for round 3? I want to see it. I want to read it. I'm going to like it. I'm going to comment back in the comments below. Alrighty. That's it, guys. That's Tackle and Tinny's round 2 wrap up / round 3 analysis. See you guys next week.
Yeah.
Let's go.